Hello folks and welcome. So I have another subscriber request. I think it was about 2 weeks ago, and the subscriber wanted to know about Simple Screen Recorder, how to make Simple Screen Recorder work and settings. This is not everybody's cup of tea. If you are going to be making your own videos with sound, I'll talk about some settings and also possibly the microphone. So again, this is not everybody's cup of tea, but I thought I'd do the video as per requested. So again, this is going to be on Linux Mint using Simple Screen Recorder, which I use most of the time. I also use OBS, and I also use Vocoscreen NG. But generally, I like to use Simple Screen if I'm filming in the X11 environment, not Wayland. If you don't know what those two are, I would suggest taking a quick peek at the internet. But if you are wanting to record your desktop with audio, then continue watching. I am filming in 1080. I normally always say what I'm filming in. Occasionally I'll film in 4K, but 1080, and I'll talk about that, why that's important also. Welcome folks. Subscription key is in the corner if you've never heard of my channel, 400 videos and growing. So if you are curious about the theme, obviously the logo can be changed by hitting configure, and you can find this green logo in there. But I will just get this out of the way really quickly because I inevitably get questions. Hey, what were you using for a theme? And Sweet Ambar Blue is custom. You can watch my videos on custom themes. I added that through my file manager. However, these are standard. Okay, that's all I'm going to say on that. So that's why that's really black. Now let's get back on topic. Simple Screen Recorder is what this is all about today. Simple Screen Recorder is found on a lot of Linux distributions package managers. Simple Screen Recorder is meant for the X11 environment. I am not even sure if they're actively working on something that will do that for Wayland, but currently not. You can get Simple Screen Recorder out of Software Manager. You can also add it through Terminal, and I do quite frequently, even on different distributions. And you can also use in Cinnamon Synaptic Package Manager to install software. All right. And a lot of distributions, you will either use Terminal or Synaptic. And a lot of them don't have a software manager. It just depends on the distribution. But Simple Screen Recorder is to use to make videos and with sound. And I'll talk about microphones and tips on that also. So let me open that up. I'm using that to record this video, so this is a second instance. So if you want to call it a dummy instance, when you install SSR for the first time and you're using an NVIDIA graphics card with an NVIDIA graphics driver in Cinnamon, you get a post-it note that'll ask you to turn off flipping. Just follow those directions. I don't believe you'll get that if your video or graphics card is an AMD. If you don't want to see this screen, then click that for future. Now I'm going to continue. So I'm filming in 1080 as I pointed out earlier, and that's what you'll see up at the top, whatever you're filming in. And then I will just point out to the cursor. You can probably see it's changing sizes. So if you don't want to record the mouse pointer or mouse cursor, turn that off. And it will not record that. Sometimes if you are opening screens while you're recording, this will look kind of weird without the cursor. All right, I normally do that. Now, recording the audio part, I normally left on. Obviously, you want to hear my voice. And, you know, I also do or did do private videos, and those are not posted. But more importantly, most people that are wanting to describe things want to hear your voice. So if you're doing this for yourself or you're doing this for YouTube, you probably want recording of audio. So we're going to talk about these important settings. So I have ALSA, Pulse Audio, or Jack. So jack would be like a microphone that has those male ends that are kind of pointy looking, really small, and those kind of microphones normally do not have amplifiers, and they will sound really low in volume. And sometimes you almost have to stick them almost in your mouth for you to hear a decent sound out of them. If you move your head approximately like where I'm at today, I'm about 14 inches away from my microphone right now. I'm using Blue. Blue is made by Logitech. It's a USB-based microphone. USB-based microphones sometimes have built-in amplifiers. Blue does. So a Blue microphone also has some settings, and I'll talk about those right now. So right here is my volume key, my volume icon. I'm going to click that and hit sound settings so you can see this. And let me give you some tips if you're going to be doing these kind of recordings. So in my case, a lot of times the output device switches to my Blue microphone speaker because it has a jack underneath my microphone for a headphone set, which are speakers. And I have to flip this back to HDMI because I'm not using a laptop. My screen is separate, and my screen has the speakers built into it. All right, if you are running a laptop, your setups could be different. But that's output. Where is the sound coming from? You can always just test out a piece of music and figure out which one of them. So when you are recording though, my recommended output volume, if you're going to dump this to YouTube, is about 70%. I got mine set to 71. That's close enough. You don't want to be maximum, and you certainly don't want to be somewhere around the 20%. You're not going to get a true accurate volume out testing. So this is my recommended. I'm never at 100%. If I'm using another distribution, I'll give you an example like Debian 12, I may crank that up to like 92 or 93, but never 100%. All right, okay, I'm going to scare you a little bit. My voice is about 14 inches away from the microphone. Now it's about 4 inches, and then I'll back it off. All right, you probably heard that. But this particular microphone, again, is USB based and has an amplifier built into it. It also has a couple of settings on the back end where I can turn it to where it does 360-degree sound pickup. Those are usually good for conferences. But since I'm filming, I want directional. That means there's a switch on the back side of the microphone that when I'm looking at the mute button, I'm facing the microphone, and that's the direction it's picking up sound, if that makes sense to you. The other thing I'm going to tell you about my environment that I normally film in is my office. And that office has wooden floors. So that means that it has no carpeting to muffle that. So it echoes a lot. And it all depends on the back end audio of how it treats that echo. The other thing that I'll tell you about my environment is my ceilings do not have popcorn on them. In other words, they don't muffle the sound, they bounce. My ceilings are smooth. So it's not a recording studio, in other words. Okay? Just to give you some examples of how to treat sound. Output recommended is around 70. Input, I leave mine somewhere in the range of 88 to about 93, depending on the Linux distribution. Okay, enough on that. Next box, continue. Your output is normally none. When you select YouTube, whether you're doing this for yourself or if you are doing it for YouTube, this is the selection that it defaults to. All right, first of all, I don't use separate file per segment, so I turn it off, and I don't like the timestamp right on the video, but you may want that. All depends if you're doing private videos. Also, the browse. It normally defaults to your home user in Mint. Okay, and in a lot of Linux distros, it does the same thing. If you're okay with that, then just hit cancel. However, if you want it in a specific directory or folder, then open that up and then give this thing a name. I'm going to call this one test 1. And it'll end up with MKV on the file name. However, I don't use MKVs also. I have MP4, WebM, and OGG and other. This is my preferred is MP4. If I'm using OBS recording software, which occasionally I also use, I like MP4 or WebM. If I'm using Voco Screen NG, I will either film or try to film in these two modes. But this is my preferred. Since we're talking simple screen today, we are going to stick with MP4. All right. However, please read the note. It is, it does produce unreadable format if you're interrupted. However, it's my preferred as far as quality is concerned. So let's talk about the video codec. The video codec that I like is H.264. So then the constant rate factor, I set it at basically default, 23. It does affect your video quality and also your file size. 23 is plenty good. So the preset, as you can see, it's got many selections. I usually leave it on super fast. So the next item is allow frame skipping. I turn that off. I may skip a frame or two, especially when I'm tired, because I film sometimes very late after taking care of some family, sick family members. Okay, and more importantly, you may hear me skipping, but I don't want frame skipping for electronics. So if you leave this on, what that means, normally you're trying to squeeze in X amount of frames, per minute. And sometimes when it skips around, it's like your mouse cursor kind of does that. Nobody likes that effect. So that's why I turned that off. All right, now I'm going to move to audio. Since I'm using MP4, I don't like Vorbis, although I can use it, but I like ACC 128. And I usually leave this combination. Then I hit continue. And now we can deal with the screen resolution. One more time, right click. If I didn't say so earlier, we can deal with screen resolutions. What are you going to film in? 1080, 4K, 720. Most of YouTube likes this frame rate, or this one. Standard frames. All right, so if you have ever noticed that my videos have some text below them, all of my videos do. They all have keywords on them. And one of the lines that I throw in there is recommend watching my videos on a large screen. You can also watch my videos if you have a smart TV. If you got a YouTube app. And it comes in handy if you're trying to follow along and using a laptop, for instance. But generally, if you're watching my videos on a mobile device with 6-inch screens, this all look very small to you. Also, when I film, I tell you what I'm filming in. I also make the recommendation to adjust your YouTube player accordingly. Have you ever looked at your screen resolution on some devices? It will default to 460. That's well below this specification. So again, a lot of times your YouTube player, when you click it, the gear symbol will tell you what your screen resolution is. And you can change it up to whatever the person that was filming it. So if I was filming in 1080 and your monitor can produce 1080, that'll be that. If your monitor can't produce 1080, then you can go to the second screen resolution, which is normally 720, or somewhere in between there. But more importantly, you decide what screen res you want to film in. That becomes important to understand when you get to this last step. You can start the recording immediately if you don't want to do this manually, and then stop. But it'll normally record this dialog box with it. However, the smarter way to do this, if you are going to produce something for YouTube, or even if you're doing private videos, is you want this minimized when you're doing recording. And that's where the hotkey stuff comes in. The hotkey just means assign a keyboard command to this function of starting and stopping your recording. That's all this means. So I have mine set to Shift and Z. I used to use another keyboard combination. Now let me tell you why I chose that combination. First of all, I'm right-handed, so my hand is on my computer mouse. I don't use touchpads. Let me put it this way. If I use a touchpad on any of my 400 plus videos, I will tell you if I'm using a touchpad. So most of the time it's always a computer mouse. So that's on my right hand. With my left hand though, I can press down and hold the Shift key while pressing Z to start the recording, while this is minimized. So you don't see this on your recording. And then when I get done explaining things, I hit Shift Z again to stop the recording. And then I bring this dialog box up in the air before closing that to do the most important thing, which is save your recording. If you fail to do this part here, your recording is no more. If you hit that box without doing this, you will not save your file. It will not even be available in your file manager. And the general thing is, if you didn't assign it, again, Mary's a made-up name, the video will show up here, or it'll show up here. This is currently still in motion. I'm filming this video right here. So it's actively moving because I got two instances of Simple Screen. One is actually recording, the other one's not. You can actually see the bit rate, file size, and frame rates, and what is going in and out. All right, so, but more importantly, it's waiting for me to terminate the other one. But this is in a nutshell. Going back to screen one is your microphone, your back-end audio. Again, what kind of microphone are you using? And keep in mind, if it's one of these with the jack on it, those are usually very low microphones. You almost have to have them in your mouth to hear proper audio out of them. I would use an amplified microphone. And this is not the only microphone I have. I have a couple others. But more importantly, recording software can be different. Some people like OBS. Simple Screen Recorder is another one. VocoScreen is another. And there's myriads of other recording software out there. All the stuff that I do on Linux for Seniors is all done with open source software. I'm on a budget. I don't get paid for making these videos. And hopefully you enjoyed this one, because I'm at the end. And say thank you for watching.